You can expand the capacity of the factory by spending a little bit of money and sell even more stuff, right? So those things have value. You also have strategic options. Even though the product or the project by itself is negative net present value, by having this product in place, you may prevent a competitor to gain strength. Or it could be kind of too expensive for your competitors to get into that area. You may be losing money on that product, but since your competitors are not growing, you're not going to lose your existing products. We also do two simple analyses. One is called sensitivity analysis. This is done for each of the inputs. So you can ask the following question. What would be the effect on the NPV if I was selling 1 unit less? Okay. If you think about it, the sales are going to be reduced by, if I'm selling 1 unit less or $1 less in price, let's say, the sales are going to be reduced by $1 million, right? Our original numbers were 12.6. And our NPV is 4,887. Instead of $12, I could sell this product at $13. So I'm going to increase that by $1. Sales is going to go up to 13.6 net sales. And my NPV is going to go up to 7.8. So the effect of $1 increase in the price is about $3 million. You could do similar analysis on unit sales, net costs, what have you. But in that case, you're analyzing each of the inputs independently. The so-called ceteris paribus, everything else being the same. The trouble is, those things are rarely independent. Inputs are rarely independent. If you think you can sell more units, more than likely you can also charge higher prices, right? And more units may actually end up costing you less in terms of costs, so on and so forth, or more on unit costs. The second type of analysis is called scenario analysis. Here what you do is you have 3 scenarios. You have the baseline, you have the worst case scenario, and best case. Worst case and best case doesn't mean the worst thing that could possibly happen. A reasonable bad scenario and a reasonable good scenario. And you basically calculate NPV for each scenario. If in the worst case scenario you still have a positive NPV, then you have a lot more confidence in that decision. You can read that sort of stuff from your book. I don't need to go into that. Oh, there is one more thing I want to quickly talk about. Budget constraints. Normally, when we look into capital budgeting, we act as if any positive NPV project should be funded. Technically, that makes sense. You know, if the project is adding value to the firm, go borrow the money, raise the money by equity, what have you, and fund it, right? But in reality, there is a limit to how much money you can raise, either by debt or equity or a combination thereof. Just because you can have $5 trillion worth of positive projects doesn't mean somebody's going to give you $5 trillion. There's a limit to it. So when there are budget constraints, there are two types of rationing. One is called hard rationing. There is a hard limit on funding, and there's a soft rationing, somewhat flexible. When there is hard rationing, you don't actually necessarily use positive NPV as your decision rule. You actually fund projects that have the highest profitability index first. Remember, there is a limit to how much you can fund. So you start with projects that makes most money per dollar invested. And you go from there. Let's solve some problems and I'll send you guys home. Chapter 9. This obviously also allows me to post a chapter 9 quiz. Since you don't have a homework, next Friday is more than enough time. Actually, should I make it next Tuesday so that you have nothing to do in the Thanksgiving? All right. Because you leave it to the last moment otherwise. Do 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, November 29th. You get my meaning. New window announcement. Yes. Unlimited attempts. Highest grade. Okay. Okay, who's going to tell me this? Most valuable alternative that is forfeited if a particular investment is undertaken is called what? We talked about it. The opportunity cost. The The assumption that a project will be evaluated based on its incremental cash flows is referred to as the what principle? I think it's called incremental cash flow principle or standalone. I don't know, look it up from the book. My job is not to teach you stuff you can look up. The change in the firm's future cash flows that results from adding a new project is referred to as direct cash flows. That is false. They're called incremental cash flows. A U.S. depreciation system that allows for more rapid depreciation under various classifications is called the rapid recovery period. True or false? It's false. It's rapid cost recovery. There is no period involved. When a firm cannot raise financing for a project under any circumstances, the situation known as capital rationing. That's actually false. It's known as hard rationing. Hard rationing. If they can raise for some, it's called soft rationing. Again, you can look it up in the book. A pro forma financial statement is a financial statement that projects future years' operations through a pro forma financial statement that assets are based on their current market values. No. The options a firm has to expand into related business products are referred to as strategic options. That is true. You know, think about Apple when it came up with iPod. Okay? They're thinking about the iPod as a project. If you do iPod, it immediately opens you iTunes. Okay? Or some other stuff. You know, you do iPhone, it immediately opens the apps market. So that would be a strategic option. So just because you believe you're not going to necessarily sell enough iPhones to make money, you know, doing the iPhone opens you up new business areas. Okay, Luke. Lucky Luke. That's also another comic character from my childhood.